Back again with TSPM. This time I'm Supervisor Richard Forster, and your report for our meeting of September 25th, 2012. First item up on the agenda was pulled. It was an issue on 1530 requirements by a couple trying to get the permits to occupy their garage. It was worked out with the help of Aaron Bruce-Torrey from our Community Development Department and Chuck Eiley, our CAO. So that's the way we like to do it, is work out things before they get to a point of coming to the board. So we appreciate that. Next item up was on General Services Administration. John Hopkins, our General Services Director, spoke to the board along with Mark Oliveria, who's in charge of keeping the facilities together. And the old courthouse is becoming a major eyesore. It's fallen apart. They said it's not to the point of falling down yet, but it does have major leak issues with the roof. It's a membrane-style roof, and major issues with leakage are starting to appear on the building, especially around windows and things like that, because the paint is falling off. So those two items alone, the roof be about $56,000, the paint for the building about $100,000. For a building that's not being used, not anticipated to be used, that's a lot of money. We have contemplated sale of that building, but in this market, it'd be pretty tough to sell it. And the other problem is replacing that roof. It's only about a 10-year lifespan with the type of membrane type of structure that you're putting on the roof. So we need to figure out what to do with that. So this will go to a committee, the property committee of the board. Try to do it sooner rather than later. The consultants that looked at the facilities have indicated that this needs to happen before winter to winterize the building and get it so that the leaking stops. You have tiles falling down on the inside of the ceilings of the buildings, and just not a very good situation. You'll eventually have a mold situation there. So we will continue to work on that and try to make something happen sooner rather than later. The board looked at the 2010-11 final grand jury report. Comments were made by our department head of social services, Jim Foley. Really good comments that he made based on the findings of the grand jury. His responses were right on point. One discussion from the board was on the grand jury finding that the former head of social services did not have the proper credentials. One board member asked that we might want to possibly look at that, because that was then, this is now. You're not sure exactly what the credential requirements were then or now. The other thing is some of the recommendations for the grand jury as to possibly hiring more employees to make it safer for our county employees. They're good recommendations, but the whole thing is, can we afford it now at the county level? Very difficult. Quick work was done with the appointment of Supervisor Boitano as the delegate to California State Association of Counties, and Supervisor Novelli as the alternate for that position. And the board spent a lot of time talking about secure rural schools reauthorization. This is an item that has to be decided by September 30th. It had to go to a public hearing process, but before that it had to be advertised, and people had to be given the opportunity to look at that and come up with projects they might want to present for inclusion into the Secure Rural Schools Act money, about $360,000. There's Title I, Title II, Title III. Title I is about 80 to 85% of that money. You have a choice in there. Title II is 8%, and Title III is 7 to 12%. So that 7 to 12% can go to Title II or Title III. The board historically has always given that to Title III, and we have split that in the past a couple of years between the Amador Fire Safe Council and the Amador Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue. The board decided to do that again this year, $12,500 to each of those agencies, and well documented by the Sheriff's Department as far as search and rescue activities, and the cost to the county, the cost to taxpayers. So we felt that it was a good expenditure then and in past years, and we still feel that way. The Fire Safe Council has a lot of the community wildfire protection plans that are being funded, and we feel that's a good expenditure too. That's all the time I have. 223-6470. If you have any questions, and this is Supervisor Richard Forster. We'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.